Alright, guys, so this is a fun fanfiction idea that is loosely based off of the Marvel story Generations, where heroes from the past, meet their future people who took on the future titles, like Sam Wilson when he was Captain America, time traveled to meet Steve Rogers. Amadeus Cho Hulk met Bruce Banner Hulk, who was dead at the time. It was basically a lot of fun story like that. So this kind of loosely is based off of that. So it's like a cartoon slash anime adaptation of that story. So let's get into it. So basically, what the story is that the main crux of the story is that Renette from Ninja Turtles arrives thanks to help with Clockwork, and Clockwork and Renette are basically gather together all these different superheroes together, like Danny, Kim, all these different heroes, and they're like, so we discovered that someone is using time travel to send your villains back in time to kill certain ancestors, that are in your history, and to kill them and wipe you out of existence. So we're going to send you guys back to the point to protect your ancestors. So you guys have to time travel back to those points, and you have to protect them. You have to protect them if you want to still exist. So everyone's like, all right, cool, let's go. So it more or less becomes like a series of stories that basically has all the heroes time travel back to the past, and how they do it is because obviously it's too much. It's obviously a lot of people to use to time travel. So some of them use the Phoenix Gate, some of them use the Return to the Past machine, and kind of it's amplified from Code Lyoko. There's also the Shizao's time machine. There's also just a lot of different ways to time travel throughout back to the past. So essentially what happens is that all the heroes go to these different timelines to protect different people in their future, in their past, to make sure they can continue to exist. Danny time travels back to the 1800s and is in Africa, where he discovers Tarzan is his ancestor. Tarzan and Jane are his ancestor, and Skulker is the one who is hunting them. Skulker was the one sent back in time to kill Tarzan and Jane. So Danny teams up with Tarzan to protect him, and the two team up to take on Skulker, because it would be Skulker who would be sent to go hunt a feral human being. He's like, I normally hunt ghosts, but you look like worthy prey, and you remind me of the ghost child. And so Danny does that. Shigo is sent back and to the past in France, towards the Dark Ages, and her target is Esmeralda from, of course, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Kim is sent back in time to protect Esmeralda and Phoebus, her ancestors, who will their bloodline leads back to her. So Kim, I actually had this fun idea where she has to blend in to the surroundings. She puts on a costume similar to Arno from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where she just puts on a costume similar to that, and she battles Shigo with it. You also have Randy from Randy Cunningham. He is sent back in time to Detroit in the early 1800s, where his is a bit of a moral dilemma. Because he discovers that first Catfish Bure was sent back in time to kill his ancestor, and his ancestor is none other than Daniel Robitaille, the man who will become Candyman. And essentially what happens is that Randy's kind of left in an oh shit state. That oh shit state is he doesn't believe that Candyman's real, but he knows but he does know that what happens to Daniel Robitaille is real. So he wants to change the future by saving Daniel from the mob, and maybe that'll help. He'll help raise his child. But Renette and Clockwork are that's not how this works. Robotai's death is a fixed point in time. You cannot fix it. If you try to defy it, then what's the point of even bringing you back here? But by the end of it, Randy does defeat Catfish, but the mob still chases after Daniel. But there's a difference here. The difference being is that Randy, who's been hiding his identity as the ninja, he more or less is helping Daniel's lover, who is pregnant with their child. He actually helps save Isabella. He helps save her and get her away, get her somewhere safe, while Daniel just distracts the mob and lets them chase him down, and thus begin the legend of Candyman. But Randy is among the crowd, and he stays with Daniel during his death and ascension into becoming the legend we all know. As for others, you have Ladybug. She is sent back in time to the 1930s to protect Chane Lafarette and her lover Vino, aka Claire Stanfield, the rail tracer. And she discovered, it's kind of fucks her up that she finds out her ancestors are basically, her great-grandparents are basically assassins and killers. And it also makes the discovery that her great-great-grandfather, Huey, the immortal Huey, is still alive to this day. And she never knew that she was a descendant of Huey Lafarette, who was a known cult leader. So she's like, well, I'm going to have to talk to my parents about that one. But yeah. So she protects them from Hawkmoth. Who tries to who actually akumatizes Lad and makes him into this giant gun-toting monster of a creature to kill them. You also have who else? You have this was a fun one to do because what was it? This was a fun one to think of. Basically, another hero that is sent way back to the past, and that that hero is Ulrich from Code Lyoko. He and the rest of the Lyoko warriors are sent way back to the past because they discover that Ulrich's ancestor is Spear from Primal. So they have to team up with Spear and Fang and take on Xana's monsters that were sent back in time to kill him. And they just see how brutal Spear is in a fight, and they're just like, damn, maybe we didn't need to time travel back. Maybe we didn't need to time travel all the way back. As for others, you have now what's interesting is that Jenny doesn't have an ancestor. What she has, where she is sent in the 1950s, she's basically sent to stop Vexus from killing the person who will inspire her mother to be a scientist, and that person is Dr. Benton Quest. So she teams up with Johnny Quest and Race to protect Benton from being killed by Vexus, and thereby keeping Dr. Wakeman from becoming the woman she is, and thereby creating Jenny. So she has to protect him to do that. You also have who else? Oh yeah, you have Optimus, who is sent back to the early days of Cybertron. Even though he knows the Primes at this point are all kind of dicks, but he has to end up saving Solus Prime from Megatron, who at this point he's like, yeah, I'm down for this. If it means killing Optimus and ending the cycle of Primes early, I'm all for it. I'm all fucking for it. But even Optimus is like, dude, if you do this, then all of Cybertron is gone. And Megatron goes, to quote you, those Earthlings, totally worth it. Megatron is stopped by Optimus, and it's revealed that the person who was sending all the villains back was actually it was not Sabatini Romero, the Ninja Turtle villain. Who it actually was it was Demona, who was using basically like a version, like basically using a Phoenix Gate, the Phoenix Gate, to throw villains back in time to try to kill them all. She even tried to have the gargoyles killed, and they had to go back and save their past selves from the Huntsman clan. So there's that. There's also like Jake had to time travel, and Jake Long had to take on the Huntsmaster and Shan Yu when he teamed up with Mulan to protect her. You have who else? Yeah, so those are like the major ones, really. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my my story. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what'd you guys think of it? Just comment below, let me know. As always, hope you all enjoyed this. And if you haven't already, hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon. I got 2 new videos posted there, so check those out. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.